Alright, so my report, obviously went through all of the registration numbers. Intro starts tonight. I was just over at the rink. We got a skate sharpener set up over there. We're handing out socks. They showed up a couple hours ago, so we got socks, we got jerseys.
Socks did show up?
Yes.
Awesome.
We are handing everything out. Kids are excited, so we're ready to roll. No, it's mine. I brought it. Yeah, I brought my skate sharpener so that we can make sure that the skates are sharpened. But I do think that we should invest in one. It's just the Sparks one.
Oh, I sweet deal at the Mandan thrift store last year. I could have picked one up for
You
$200. And I'm going to sell it to a squirt family for $400. They're really excited about it. So.
I think we should invest in one. I mean, just, during tournaments, people need a quick sharpen. I think it's something to look at. But anyways, I did take that over there.
Has anybody been bringing their skates to Duffy's to get them sharpened?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought on that. The Sparks got me excited. Otherwise, yeah, Mike is there. There's a couple volunteers there. Sherry and her crew are running everything for intro. So Sherry used to run it before. She did ask to be compensated this time for having her folks run it. It was a nominal fee of $3,000 for them to run all of our sessions, and so I think that was pretty fair. And we run 3 days a week for 3 weeks, and she'll have her coaches there running it on ice. So we went forward with that. So she will be running the intro program this year for us, and then next year we'll kind of try to get it revamped a little bit. So we have Mario and Mike and some other coaches of ours probably running it. But
Can I ask questions while you're doing anything?
Yeah.
What's full? Is it 150 players?
160.
Okay.
Yep. And I think last year we had like 141. So we exceeded that this year. JD worked with BPS on getting it into the Friday Flyer, so that ran the first time 2 Fridays ago. And after that we did have quite a few additional people sign up, so I thought that was helpful to get it out there. So yeah, there were still people that probably needed to pick up their full set of gear tonight as well, so we had some volunteers at the front there to help with that. Mike had pulled out some extra helmets and bags of equipment, and then the socks and jerseys, of course. So. But yeah, it was overall starting to be successful. We'll see in a couple weeks. So we'll wait in a couple weeks to send an email to all of the intro families. It'll probably be the last week of intro, and then we'll let them know next steps if they want to sign up or not. We'll have to do a gear hand-in night as well. We haven't set that date yet, but we'll do that in a couple weeks.
Okay, one more.
Yep.
Length of preseason this year. Was that a 4-week? It's been going on for quite a while. 4 to 6
It started
weeks?
beginning of August, actually, so it'll be 8 weeks at the end. And we always did 4 weeks in the past, and really only offered like 2 sessions a week. Where now we kind of opened it up a little bit more, where you can pick whatever sessions work for you with the maximum on it. But I think that worked better for people to be able to pick and choose, because it was either like you did band in group 1 or band in group 2, and then those days were set for you, where this was more pick and choose what worked. And so we had people sign up initially, and then they came back in after they got other schedules for soccer and football and stuff, and they added more in around that. So I thought it worked pretty well. I mean, Quinn did a great job. I was actually saying before we started the meeting, like the dry land for my kiddos at sport and weight age was awesome. Like Quinn was really working on skills, and that's what they need. Like it's probably better for them to be doing dry land right now with Quinn than on the ice. Like they get a lot of ice time, I feel like, but the off ice skill training was really good.
When were you work?
He has some top runners there.
Okay, I'll start yelling.
It's just neat to start following what we're supposed to do. Instead of a 4.5 month season, now we're riding into 6 because that's the US Hockey's about 7 months, and so I love it. All good stuff.
Yeah, I
appreciate Quinn.
Yeah, absolutely like to continue that preseason to be longer next year. I think that it was really helpful for people to get a lot of time and opportunities to get out before tryouts.
Just get straight skills before competition. So I love it.
Back and checking clinics coming up at the end of September, and then home tournaments. You can see that we have a couple weekends that we're going to be very full with Sport B, Sport B1. We did hit 16 on Sport B, right? Did you say that last week?
Yes.
So I think we're full on Sport B. Like that's going to be a very full weekend. Hope would be that we have another rink. Fingers crossed, because if not, we're gonna be really, really tight on ice time. But yeah, hopefully we can get the other ones full. 10UB is full. The 12U and PVD1 are probably my concerns at this point. The rest of them, like, we could run with the numbers we have, but I'd like to see them at 8 at least.
Is everything going to be on separate weekends now? Do you have dates for anything, or is it going to be Squirt B and B1 on one weekend, or different weekends? And are there dates for any of this stuff?
Yep, so PWB and B1 are same weekend, Squirt B, B1 are same weekend, 10UB, 12UB same weekend, Bantam B1, Bantam B same weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, and Bantam B, B1 is first weekend in January, Squirt B, B1 is second weekend in January, 10UB, 12UB is first weekend in February, PWB, B1 is first weekend in December, or like the 9th, something like that, whatever that weekend is. But yeah, those were put out in May-ish, probably, because we were open registration in June.
Oh, sure. Yep.
So, and that's, I mean, we'll just have to start making some calls. Once we get scheduling, which I started today, and we have our fall meeting this weekend to get all of our league games scheduled. Then people will start looking to fill in with some more tournament spots and stuff once they get their league schedules done. So hopefully we can get some more teams in there.
Do you remember when Canada starts looking?
Yeah, probably in the next month. I know, Mario reached out to Regina for the Bantam AA to go to the Regina tournament, and they said their committee doesn't form until end of September. So they're just a little bit behind us, so probably in the next month we'll see some emails come in from them. We got an email last week from a Canadian team.
Brandon, Moose Jaw, Regina, 3 cities we talked to, rest of it we talked to, but as far as big old tournaments, we kind of are just waiting.
Even just a weekend to play, like if we don't have a tournament for some of this stuff. Or...
We talked to the Rome and Brandon about just scheduling games, this exhibition meeting, just so they'd be open to it, but a pretty open-ended question, but they said they'd be interested. But they're not going to make a decision until their teams are formed.
Okay.
And we had in the past at one point too, we would meet in Minot, play in Minot. So Minot would get some games, we'd get some games, just a shorter trip for everyone then, so be an option to look at. Girls meeting, we had that a couple weeks ago. I don't know, all my days run together right now, but a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I think we met with the Girls Retention Committee as we renamed them. Mario renamed them that because we had the Girls Committee and then they were confused, and we had the Hockey Committee and it all kind of jumbled together. And so now it's the Girls Retention Committee. So we met with them to talk about what to do with the girls. If you look at our registration numbers, we still have that kind of odd number for the 15U and then a lot of girls in the 12U. We had talked to Mandan about co-oping. In the end, Mandan kind of came back and said that they probably weren't interested in that idea after talking to the Girls Retention Committee. It also sounded like the committee would rather see us stay within Bismarck and play with our own kids than combine with Mandan. Maybe something down the road we have to look at doing, but if we have the numbers, we should try that. So essentially, looking at taking the top 12UA girls that are on the top to ask them if they want to move up. I mean, that's always the question. Some of them won't want to move up; they want to stay where they're at. And then kind of looking at that next level, the top kids there that are going to be like bubble girls, to see if they would want to move up as well into the 15B category.
You want me to explain everything on that?
You sure can, yeah.
We're short on 15U level, so we're basically determined that at 12U tryouts, we'll ask the top 2 or 3 girls to try out for the 15Us. If they were to make 15U 18, they would play there. If not, they would stay at their own level. Any 12U girls that are in 7th grade that do not make the 12U A team, we would give them the option to move up and play the 15U B team. So now we've got less at 12U level, and we're kind of, we'll get up to like maybe 12 or 13 skaters for the 15U teams and decrease from what would have been, 16, 17 skaters on 12U, so even out our numbers a little bit, and our top girls at 12UA would get pushed, and then those girls that don't make it can have an opportunity to play with some of those other girls. So I think, in theory, put everyone in a good position, I think, to have a good season.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best.
Anything?
No, I think it's the best possible outcome. I know the retention committee talked at length about the numbers, kind of looking at where girls were at last year, the 12 U's that are gonna move up to 15U, and kind of seeing, what's gonna happen this year. And so I think it was a really good possible solution that everyone came up with. The other third option besides the man-in option was to create that 13U team. And we did that the last 2 years where we had that 14U, and it was a mess. To be honest, I think anybody on those teams the last 2 years would probably agree with that. The first year they played 14U, but they played in the 12UB league, and they kind of dominated. So then last year they went into the 12UA league, and they kind of got dominated. And so it just didn't seem to work. And then you have a couple of girls that are 15U eligible that are playing down, which then we had girls quit last year because of that, because they didn't want to be playing, you had high schoolers playing with a 7th grader, right? And it just didn't work out. So I didn't want to do that unless we absolutely had to, so I think this is probably a good solution. So the one thing in that paragraph in my report talks about the goalies, and I think that's probably our biggest struggle. So even though we figured out kind of players, we still only have one goalie at 15U. And so that's obviously a concern at this point. I did just talk to a member as I drove here, and he thinks he has a possible goalie. So that kind of takes me into the one thing that I asked the board to discuss tonight and probably make a motion on is to try to get some girls interested in goalie. I think we need to be willing to invest in them. And that means, possibly looking at buying some bigger goalie equipment so we have them for the older girls, and possibly paying for some sessions with goal rubber as well. Because if you look at our numbers across the board in girls right now, we're going to be in the same situation for the next 4 or 5 years because we don't have any girl goalies. And so, to keep our teams competitive, we have to have some goalies in there. I talked to Nate about it as well. Mario and I met with Nate last week, and he was all on board with that. We're also going to try and do like a girls goalie day where he does try goalie for a day. We're going to also do like a girls section of that, so it's just all girls, but all levels as well. Or try goalie for a day is more geared towards the younger kids. It's going to be girls goalie for a day. I'll talk to you, Kristen, about that. And hopefully getting like the high school goalies to come down, the girls, and work with some of our girls and get them excited about trying it out. I know one thing that was brought up is in years past, it was hard for girls to think that they would play goalie because we had one team. And so if you weren't the goalie, it was really hard to keep playing in high school. Well, now we have 2 teams. And if you look at the high schools and the goalies that are upcoming, I think there's going to be one team that's going to be strong with goalies and another team that really needs some goalies. So I think there's an opportunity for some girls to look down the road to and think, hey, I can have that position. So I guess I'm requesting from the board that we look at getting some bigger gear. I did try and ask Nate what his session, like what cost we'd be talking about. I didn't get an answer from him on that. I do have somebody reaching out to a past goalie about possibly buying their equipment, so used equipment, but at least it would be bigger equipment so that we can at least get some gear on these girls and get them out there and trying it. We talked about you could move up a 12U goalie into the 15U, but then you're short of 12U, right? So you're still not accomplishing much. But I think in order for us to actually get a girl interested in it, we're going to have to probably invest in it.
We went, if I remember right, we raised goalie registration where we're half of regular registration. We bumped that up this year.
Yes, the percentage was maybe 30% off,
Okay.
something like that.
Is that, still getting discounted? Is there something we could do with that for next registration would be one thing. Goalie equipment, again, that's just a thing. But as far as, did you talk to Nate about doing like, he's got sessions at Go Robert Dryland for the kids. Is there anything we could do? Just here's a girls session so they feel they can all be together. That one of his, would he open up a girls half hour, whatever it is, at his facility all through the season?
Maybe. I didn't ask about that specifically, but
Were you just talking on ice, a girls
well,
session?
yeah, just like his try goalie for a day, we usually do 2 or 3 sessions with the little kids, but doing one of those sessions specifically girl related, and that would be on ice.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the thought of like his training, making it like Thursday nights at 6 o'clock are going to be the girls session.
Let's be
The girls
together.
all come together.
Okay.
I like that, yeah.
So maybe, so I mean, just as far as the board thing, we could, I mean, like I said, goalie equipment, that makes sense, but until we, I would ask Nate about, you know, what would be the best pull-in? Would it be just to have a goal route or session on ice, or to offer some kind of section for just girls at his facility, and, you know, just come back with a concrete idea
Yep,
for us?
okay.
Or unless you got any
I like Lynn.
thoughts or other.
Almost as near right now.
Yeah, I think that would say costs too.
Yeah, and I messaged him earlier and I didn't get anything as far as cost back from him. I mean, and that's, I can send it in an email, but I guess I want the board to be thinking about that. And like I said, we are looking at some used equipment that we know is available out there that's just sitting in someone's garage right now. So if we could buy it from them, that would be great.
Does Nate have used equipment?
I asked him about that too in my text and I just didn't hear anything back. So yeah, he would have some bigger
Yeah.
equipment that we could buy. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he does, so just see that it is. What's
Yeah.
the word they have? It's all somebody else's that you buy and then he gives them consignment is what it's got.
Yeah, so I mean, I can get you more concrete numbers, but I just think that that's something that we really need to look at. Like I said, invest in the girls' side of things.
I
We
mean,
have
they
a
have-
ton of boys goalies right now, so we should be good there, but, the girls really, we need to get some girls interested in it. I mean, we need younger girls interested in it, but right now we immediately need 15 goalie. Or we want to.
Is there any option, I mean, VHS Legacy has 3 goalies. Has anybody talked to their athletic director? Get one now. Just do it now.
I think the coaches, when we had the girls retention committee, Nick Johnson was there, and Nick did talk about that. I think he's had some conversations with his team, and I think Tim has as well, and they're pretty set. And staying with it. Yeah. So yeah, once I get some more information from Nate, I can send that in an email to everybody, but I think that's my biggest topic that I need the board to probably approve on. Talked about the ice rental agreement, like I said, looking at our contract from last year to this year, it was an $80,000 increase on our ice contract, which that's pretty significant. We have a 5% increase, and then of course adding VFW 3 onto that as well. I'm waiting on an addendum from Mike, because we will lose a little bit of ice time after school, because Legacy will remove 6 a.m. or I guess 7 a.m. practices next year. This
So-
year it'll be the same, but next year.
This upcoming season, they moved it.
Not this coming season, the next season, yeah.
The 24-25 season, that should say?
Yeah, so we'll see a slight decrease, but not by much. I mean, it's a couple hours a week.
There-
Lose.
And that's what I did, so just so, like on camera, since we're talking about, we knew this 5% increase was coming up, but registration all stayed the same. And so just like, so people understand where some of this gaming money gets to go, is we absorb that cost. So that was fun. But you're saying Legacies, this is what I understand, they're not using their morning practices?
Yeah,
So
this
they're gonna
season,
practice
they are,
Okay.
practice at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
But then the following year, it would go to afternoon because the new rate would be available. That was
That's,
kind of the plan from the start.
so there's not even ice time we can take then, it's just they're not doing, because we can't use 7 a.m.
Right, so we just lost an hour. Well, I mean, really, our time was about an hour
Okay.
a day, because they start earlier.
And that's why our ice costs would go down.
Yeah, so we'll get an hour back a day in cost, but I mean, I wouldn't expect that much. It'll still be $75,000 increase. Concessions, I did talk to one of my employees, she's happy to help with, like I said, kind of those managerial duties, for scheduling, ordering food drinks, doing the inventory, those types of things. She does not want to be committed to, having to fill in every weekend, which I think you're gonna struggle to find any concessions manager that's like, yes, I'm just available 24/7, call me anytime and I'll show up. So I think we just have to probably roll with the help that we have instead of searching out somebody perfect. And I think this person has helped and was phenomenal last season, and so I think that we should rely on her to help us out this year. Obviously, Jamie and I will help as well. I think the hardest thing is that US Foods and Pepsi just deliver. They don't really give us like, oh, Tuesdays at 9 o'clock. They just show up and they just bring food and it's
There's no
cold
time.
food and.
There's no set, like, hey, we're gonna be there, hour heads up, no.
Well, they'll call and say we're on our way, and it's like, oh, let me just drop everything and I'll be there. The good thing is, Jamie and I both are close to the rink, and so if we have that call, you know, one of us should be able to run over there and make sure the cold stuff gets put away. And I'm gonna talk to our guy at Pepsi, and then US Foods again, and see if we can get any kind of consistency to it at least, so that we would know. You know, if it's every Thursday between 9 and noon, well, okay, I'll go over to the rink and sit there every Thursday between 9 and noon, right?
Right.
But it's been all over the place. I know it was one thing Heather was always frustrated with in the past as well. So I will try and talk to them and get some consistency to it, because I think that would help with our needs. But I at least do have somebody to help me with it. 'Cause I was,
Is Pepsi and Bismarck, is that what they're modeling?
what?
Is Pepsi and Bismarck what they're modeling? Different?
It's over in Mandan.
To me, yeah.
Yeah, out by like go past Seven Seas up that way. That's the address that we send everything to, I guess.
I might have a contact.
Okay.
I'll look into it.
Okay, thank you. We talked about away tournaments, I think, a little bit. Was that during the meeting or before the meeting?
Both.
Okay. Okay. Essentially, right now, Bantam AA has one tournament confirmed. Should have a second tournament coming up. I'm waiting here on Brandon. They had some ice struggles, so they haven't released their Bantam AA teams yet. Kiwi AA has 4 at this point, so they should be good. Those were our concerns for Bantam AA and Kiwi AA, but I still need more for Bantam AA. We had some we thought were maybe going to work out, didn't work out. So we're still looking. Mario and I have been talking about that. I know he's in contact with Regina for a possibility, and then we'll see what else we can come up with. Yeah.
Did you cancel, after those meetings we had, did you cancel the A tournaments, or did you leave them there as placeholders in case any particular reason, or?
So some were canceled. So the Kiwi A in Roseau is an A-AA. The Bantam A in Alexandria is an A-AA. So those actually worked out to be able to keep those. But other ones were canceled.
So that's 2 are that, yeah. Okay, perfect.
The fall meetings this weekend. It'll be a long Saturday of scheduling. Unfortunately, Grand Forks scheduler and the Fargo scheduler will not be there. And those are like my 2 that I absolutely need there, because you have to do your big swings with them first. So it's really hard to plug in Dickinson or Jamestown if we don't know when we're going to Fargo or Grand Forks. So we've been doing some pre-scheduling starting today, and we'll work through it the best we can. They both had some illnesses that prevented them from coming, so I mean, it's out of their hands, but it's going to be interesting, to say the least. I'm going to have Jamie come with me as well, because we talked about that. I talked to Brian from Minot today, and that everybody needs to have a backup for this exact reason, that Fargo and Grand Forks can't be there this weekend, because they don't have anyone else that can schedule. So Jamie's coming with me this next weekend, and she will at least get a glimpse into it, and then be able to help along the way and be a backup going forward. Financials through July were included. Not a whole lot there because it was the first month of the fiscal year, so it was pretty light. Not a whole lot of information there. And then the Destination Development Grant, it was submitted. Yay. That was a busy couple.
Nice job, Michaela. A lot of work. It's
It
good.
was a little
That's
while
really good.
for a couple days,
Really
but
good.
We got it in.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. I mean, I'm pumped about it. I know Kyle and I talked after I had it submitted, and I was like, I'm really excited about this, and I think we have a good shot. We'll see. I don't know. But at least I think it got the conversation started, and that's what I put in the report, because now we've started talking to, soccer and lacrosse and gymnastics and all these people involved in youth sports in Bismarck, and I think everybody got excited about it, so hopefully just that excitement can drum up some funds and we can push forward, but we'll see.
So would that grant just be for BHB, or would that grant go also towards with gymnastics? Are they looking at other grants as well?
So this one particularly was for BHP.
For BHP, okay.
Yep, it would be kind of our contribution to
Right.
getting things rolling.
Sure.
Essentially, we said that we would use it for
That's what I thought.
design and engineering and things like that. And at this point, we need some money up front.
You want to maybe provide us a little backstory on why we're submitting that grant or why it's so exciting
Sure.
for people that are updated?
Yeah, so Kyle had met with a couple people a couple weeks ago, and they said, hey, there's this destination development grant from the state. It sounded like $25 million was out there. It sounded like most people were applying for $5 million increments because that's what they kind of quoted was $5 million maximum per application. So it sounded like that was what people were kind of looking at. Sounded like what the focus is really generating revenue and attracting tourism to our state. No brainer. Hockey tournaments bring in a lot of tourists. We know that. So we kind of rolled with it, and I think Monday morning Kyle said, "Hey, we need to get this going," and I said, "Okay." And Thursday at 4:40 I submitted it, and we had we had support from gymnastics, Berks Venom Soccer, Figure Skating Club, CBB, First International Bank, Starion Bank, Lacrosse, Lamar Hockey, along with a private investment group as well. And so we were able to get all of those people in a couple of days to be like, heck yes, this sounds awesome. And so we essentially proposed that it would be a multi-purpose event center with 2 hockey rinks, a turf field, and a gymnastics arena. And I mean, it could be utilized for, different events, gathering places. You could host concerts. You could have, it would be large enough and large scale enough that it could be more than just sports. It wasn't just sports, but obviously for our purposes, we want hockey rinks. But yeah, obviously there's a lot of other things that could be brought into that event center as well. A lot of things that could come from that too, that we tried to push along in the grant. Phase 1 looks like this, but phase 2 could include additional hotels and restaurants around that area, potentially maybe a water park down the road. There's a lot of opportunity if you can get that part of town kind of moving. I think there's a lot of other spaces close by that would really grow from that as well.
And just to add to that too, I know a couple things that are going on up in that area as well. Like there's going to be a basketball facility going on. The sign's up right now. That's going on right by Cashwise. There's maybe a basketball facility there. There's going to be a new basketball facility going on kind of by the Applebee's area. New gas station going on the 43rd. So that area of town, we could do a sports complex. There's going to be multiple sports complexes up there with a hotel and gas station. It's going to drive stuff up there. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, like I said, I was
It's
excited.
43rd Washington.
Yeah, by Verizon.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So you guys have an idea, they talk about generating revenue and, bringing in tourists. So we pulled, our numbers from our Capitals Cup that we pulled here in Bismarck. And obviously we keep it pretty small scale because of our limited ice, and so we can't really expand that far on it. But the potential, if we had more rinks, would be great, that we could really expand this and probably double or triple our numbers for our tournaments. And so we actually did reach out to Fargo, and Fargo CBB was great with getting us some numbers that they pull from their tournaments. Obviously their tournaments are huge, and we know that. But yeah, they bring in about $5 million into the community just for their hockey tournaments. Between restaurants and hotels and shopping and all of that. So that's huge. So if we can bring some funds in for hockey, it's great for Bismarck, great for the community, great for the state. But then you also look at, we're not just talking about hockey, right? We're talking about gymnastics, which they were excited. Like they can't host tournaments right now, but they talked about that they could do regional tournaments. We know soccer is just continuing to grow all the time, and having a place to do indoor tournaments for soccer, which would be great too. So yeah, I'm excited about it, but we'll see what happens. November 1st, I think they said, is when they would be making decisions. So we did hear about some other projects. All of them sound great, but I think ours is the best. So we'll see what happens. So that's the development grant. We talked about some of the things that we are trying to cut back on some costs, just overall trying to save some money. We have made some slight adjustments going into this year, and so like Joel talked about, like we had an increase to our ice contract, for the next 2 years of $80,000 a year. So, how can we make up some of that? So we, look at everything from top down. I mean, and just looking at sponsorship opportunities, looking at our concessions items and prices, the processing fee that I'm sure everyone in this room is aware of, eliminating that. We did increase the number of teams for our tournaments along with the price for our tournaments. And so, kind of looking at all of those different things that we adjusted this year, we are probably looking at $100,000, almost $100,000 in a swing to the black, I guess, rather than putting us into the red by just continuing to spend money. So trying to make some adjustments to make up for some things. Ian did a great job of getting the money market going and getting that set up so that we can at least make some money on our money. So thanks to Ian for that. And then the committees, so the events committee, fundraising committee, there's a lot of information in here. The events committee really has been great so far. There's been a lot going on with that. We had intro handout a couple different times, including tonight we had some volunteers show up to help Mike out since everyone else was here. We had the golf tournament and everybody has really stepped up with that. I'll just touch briefly on the golf tournament. Overall, it was really great. I know a lot of you guys were there and helping, and I appreciate that. You can see we probably profited about $9,000. Total number is yet to be determined. Next week, not a bill or two, but about $9,000. So for putting it together in a 2-month time period, I think we did all right. It's better than we did in the past. So
Did we get food donated?
Well,
Or
First
what?
International gave us money for the food.
They did, okay, so
Yep.
that just went towards it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So kickoff events is kind
And
of
we're
the
looking
next
to
thing.
grow that every year.
Yes,
That's-
yeah, I mean, obviously, we want to turn around and get our next tournament booked already. We have a golf course in mind that we want to reach out to and try and get that booked. Also looking at, when we hold it. I know I had a few teachers say that they couldn't attend this year because they were teaching, which I get, so hopefully holding it in the summer so that we have those people back into it next year as
I
well.
mean, for throwing it together like we did though, I mean, like, nice job for everybody. I mean, just getting that together.
Yeah.
We weren't gonna have it, we did have it, it was a success. I think people had a lot of fun. And I thought it was a good job.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. It was my very first golf tournament, and I had fun. We had 23 teams, which I think last year we had 21. So we almost maxed out on number of teams, or 24 would have been the max. So yeah, I thought it went really well. And so yeah, we'll try and work on it a little bit sooner going into this next year, so it's not a mad rush at the end, and yeah, keep expanding it. So kickoff event is kind of my next thing, and tournaments as well are my next events to tackle. So we'll start talking about those. I do have somebody connected with Joel to talk about pub crawl and pub of the month events. Meltdown has been set for March 23rd at 6 o'clock here at the pier. The drawing will also be held here as well. Family fun nights, I've had a couple people reach out already to get those scheduled. I have to get those put onto the books at some point. And Kristen's kind of working on girls' side of things and getting those set up. We talked about the Girls' Holy Day fundraising committee. So we released the sponsorships, and I thought that it was awesome. We did fill all 16 at this point. So I started my report last week, and then by the time we sent in, things had already changed along the way. But we did fill all 16 teams, so we can get our termite jerseys ordered and get those spring printed on. We did have quite a few people ask though about sponsoring other teams, and I know this year we just wanted to kind of stick to termites just so we kind of had a starting point and made sure we filled those first, and again something to start tackling, maybe in April next year, and then I think we could probably sponsor a lot more teams than just termites. So, which also contributed to additional revenue for us. Olivet's doing the mites again. And then we'll start reaching out to some other businesses and people. I know somebody let us know about a company that would be more than happy to sponsor some things. We also, actually, when Jamie sent out the last call for like last team, termite team, I think we had like 4 or 5 more people reach out to us at that point because everybody wanted the last team. So I told them we have lots of other opportunities and we'll be in touch. So I'll send them some more information about some other things that they can sponsor too. And Give Me Parts Day. We started that, we met with the gal, we are working on getting match for that, and then we'll continue to start to market and stuff later on in the fall here. Apparel, we put a call out the other day for some additional apparel vendors. I did start to get that under control. Digging through Savannah's information and trying to put it into a format that I can read and understand, because I do things different than other people and everybody does things different than I do. Just took a little bit of time, but we have that under control now. So now we have a few more people, I think, 4 or 5 more vendors that reached out after we did that call the other day, and everybody offering different things, so I think that's fun. And just a way to have, you know, small businesses make some money, but then also, you know, getting our kickback from it too, so. Advertising, we also got that under control finally.
Yeah, just so that's what I like. So I ran the tournament committee back in the day, and it's nice to see you bringing back in vendors and things that we used to do that's just been dead lately. So
Yep.
that's gonna be fun for.
Just to know, Nate Spidell said he'll email over a couple of dates for girls' goalies.
Okay.
FYI.
It's like for his,
So we can get more girls playing goalie.
and at his facilities.
Whatever.
Okay.
At his facility or at the rink, if there's a little place.
Okay. Yep, sounds good. Yeah, I mean, going back to what Joel just commented on, obviously we want to expand our tournaments, make them bigger, and, you know, make them profitable for us. You know, we need to make them a good experience altogether. And so I actually talked to Sarah earlier today. We are going to have, you know, some ability to have teams rent the space up here when they come for the tournaments, and, you know, have some food and watch games being streamed on YouTube, on TVs, and have some more fun with that as well.
Did I get the cold cup? We're fine. We've done this before.
So yeah, we have to make the tournaments an enjoyable experience, and then people want to come back, right? And everybody wants to be a part of it. Gun raffle, we have the tickets being printed. I think I finally got the final version, so I'll send that to the committee to approve, and then we will send that, get those printed.
Jackie, did you see that? You were that email. You were like the big deal. Someone was reaching out for you to get tickets.
Yeah, most of that.
Somebody I didn't even.
Yeah, I did see the
I
email.
forwarded it out to you because I was like, I don't know why I got
I
this.
thought it was a nothing deal, but I was like, wow, you're the big deal. You're the contact.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, a woman got it. Okay.
Yes, they did do that. You with all the dudes in the yeah, you're the one that wanted to take care of it.
Oh, yes, I did see that. I didn't even flag it because it was just.
I assumed it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, I didn't even flag it, that's why. I
Yeah,
didn't
Rob
flag it.
Dawson. Oh, just
Yeah.
a distributor.
Employee meeting, we talked about level coordinaters. I mean, really just trying to get Mario up to speed at this point. You know, there was a lot of information I sent over to him, a lot of things he just had questions about.
Hold on, back to, we
Oh, yes.
done with advertising?
We didn't do it yet. You set up the new
Oh, sorry, I probably got distracted. That happens. I'm kind of like caught off guard by, you know, fast moving things.
So they were throwing yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The beers and yeah. Okay, so advertising, yes, we started to get through that list. In the end, we don't have a whole lot of dash awards that are gonna stay up. Like
Yeah,
they
that's
never
right.
got renewed. Letters were sent, people didn't respond, and they've just never been taken down. And they should have been taken down probably a few years ago at this point. So we're trying to get a handle on that. We did, you know, reach out to the FIGS to let her know that we have been working on this. So Savannah did, you know, again, like own spreadsheets, right? And so there's a lot of color coding, so we just had to like figure out what each one was. And then even one of them, Parks and Rec has a deal with this company to have a dashboard up, so we'd reach out to them and figure out what exactly that looks like. And so there's just a lot of information that we needed to figure out before we could get FIGS rolled back into the website. But yeah, I think we're kind of there at this point. There's a couple of businesses that maybe had said they would renew but haven't actually paid or sent anything in, so I need to reach out to them.
Are we positioned to settle at this point?
I think we're pretty close. I wouldn't say like today, because I have a couple more. There's one company that needs to pick their spot in Schaumburg. There is one that needs to move from the wall to the dashboard, so we need to figure out where they're going. But yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty close.
Yeah. And we have somebody put them up.
FIGS are working on that. That was kind of what their role will be is that they will work with the company to install and remove. So we'll just have this working Google Doc between us that shows what's available. Hopefully it'll go.
We're still sharing money.
We are, our contract goes through 2024 with them, and then we'll have a updated contract at that point. I did talk to Ashley with the figure skaters, and she seemed to be open to the thought of, basically letting the company decide how the money was allocated. 10% is gonna go back to Parks and Rec, but then there's the 90% that the company could decide. If they wanna do 50-50 between the two of us, that's fine. But I think there's some that would say, well, no, my daughter's a figure skater, so I want to put the figure skaters, or, my daughter's a hockey player, and I want to go there. So I just think that's fair for the business to be able to decide that as well.
And we're doing the booking and all that.
We have bookkeeping, yes.
I was just gonna ask about that advertising account. You spoke to them at all about it, or?
I have not spoke to Dean again about that advertising account, so there's essentially $2,200 that got left in there in 2021.
Well, now there's $14,000.
Right, so then that's all from 2023 besides that 2,200.
Right.
So we need to zero out that 2,200.
We need to zero that out. Yeah.
And then we'll.
I say we just go cut our own check
You
Yeah.
get 14
from selling.
Oh, it's.
In 2023, yeah, so I renewed, quite a few, but I mean, there's a lot of.
Well, the comment made to us,
Yeah.
and the comment made to us was close the account, don't worry about it, but I mean, could be an extra, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So why would we do that?
Right.
yeah,
So yeah, we talked about it, we were like, no, we're definitely gonna keep that.
yeah. And we want to start running in October through October, to get everybody on the same cycle, so that you only have, you might have an installer having to come in and install sometime else during the year, but the removal should always be in October. We kind of know in October, that's when people need to renew, so.
Have you talked with Parks and Rec as far as coordinating the install and the removal probably like the week before ice goes in? Might want to just touch base because if ice goes in, there's stickers, right? You get compensation and everything else, especially if it's within the rink. You ever go in the rink in the summer?
Yeah.
You'll get most compensation. But if the ice comes out, it's probably going to be, you're going to have a window, prime window to install.
Okay, let me talk to Mike about that.
You're inside, right?
Not
Let's get it figured out.
Well, and the thought is, you want to install and have them fresh before the season
Right.
starts, right? So that's why
It'd
we
be
got
nice.
October.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to coordinate like right before ice goes in, like that week before, just flash it. And then ice goes in, everything's fresh. We get paid. That's good.
Right. Wait, excuse me, yeah, essentially Ian and I are gonna, run the bookkeeping on it. I'm gonna keep my spreadsheet, and then that'll be what we submit over to Dean, at the end of the year to cut the checks.
We can cut our own check if we need to.
I don't have any check writes.
Well, we can just go get cash, check, money order, whatever.
So that's where advertising's at. Yeah, employee meeting, level coordinators, Mike and Mario are still kind of talking about that, what that is gonna actually look like. I think it's, kind of changed a little bit since we originally talked about it with Kane back in, April. So they're kind of working through that yet. Tryouts, we are finalizing schedules on that. I put something together, sent it over to Mike and Mario. They had some other thoughts on, how long the sessions were and stuff, so I have to adjust on my end, and then we'll get those sent off.
Level coordinators. Do we have level coordinators?
We don't have anybody confirmed. We talked to some different people. I reached out to a handful of people that Mike suggested. They all, Tyler Richter would help with nights. David Seymour's been reached out to about Pee-wees or termites, right?
Termites, but must coach Pee-wees, so.
Yeah.
Do you have applications? Because at one point, didn't we send out for apps?
We did. I don't know that people really understood what a level coordinator was. This person is going to have to be on the ice, and we had people that I'm not sure they've ever skated before, and since I don't think they understood what it was, I think they probably envisioned it being more like a team manager. And so we had quite a few people's names down, but
I have someone who's waiting for his interview, so I was just wondering what that's. I keep getting questions about it. Yeah.
I've had a couple
You talked
people
to me
reach
about
out
it,
about it as well, and I just keep letting them know that they're kind of working through what that even looks like and what they are looking for in that position.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out what does that person actually do? Are they in charge of every single team and exactly what's going on? And I'm in charge of that person.
You're the boss, man.
So just trying to figure out what the best solution is.
It's all open ended. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So
So yeah, they're working through that, and I mean, hopefully, you know, we can get some people interested in it. You know, Mario's got some good ideas about the future probably, and who those people might be, but for this year, season's now.
I think if you're looking for names, I got a couple for sure.
if you got some, please send them to me.
I will.
Yeah, talked about tryouts, coaches, we talked at length about coaches. You know, we have a few non-parent coaches already committed, Bantam A coach, Pee Wee.
Alex Fleechek is gonna, I think the plan is that he'll coach the Bantam A team, then we'll take the double A's. Grand Doctor will be back at Pee Wee double A, and Vern Curl's gonna come back and coach. Supposed to be the non-parent additions.
We also had a female reach out as well
Yeah, I'm not familiar with her, but she emailed today or yesterday, so hopefully she'll get in touch and maybe she would be able to take on that girls team. Not sure which level, but trying to get some feedback.
Awesome.
today. Yeah, so a few non-parent coaches are already confirmed, and obviously we'll keep looking at that. Talked about Bull Robber, we already talked about Nate. Gaming, I'm not gonna get too much into, Joel can speak to that. Like I said, I just think there's a lot of things that we can do to just show our appreciation to the gaming sites. I think that we need to get a banner up in the rink. We need to just put it in our members' faces, like here are our gaming sites, we appreciate them. They support all the things we do, all the increases in costs that we've had has really been absorbed by gaming, thank goodness, that we haven't had to increase registration and, you know, look at that. So I think we just need to show the appreciation that way. And then yeah, the pier itself, I've been in touch with Tiff, I've been in touch with Sarah. You know, I think that there's some great opportunities for things that we can host here just because it is family friendly. You know, unfortunately our other sites are not as family friendly, and so we aren't able to have our youngsters go in there, but at least here we can have teams come in and families come in together. So we'll do some things here. Yeah, strategic planning still on my to-do list. Pixelot, I got all 3 volunteers back, and I think Phil now has a year under his belt, so he's been able to kind of see what that looks like, and he'll be able to assign duties a little bit better going into this next year. I think this next year will be even more time-consuming for the fact that we are now putting logos for the termite teams differently. We'll have all of it on the Mites games, so it's not just all the same logo across the park. My understanding is Tim Rubakin actually was the one that did all the high school games last year. Didn't even realize that. Thank him, because that's awesome that he took that off Phil's plate, and he will continue to do that this year as well. Other things, Robbie Glan's schedule is finalized, so we'll get that out to everybody. Parent meeting is this weekend, this Sunday, 6 o'clock to 7:30. We are doing everybody in one big group, squirt and up. We'll do termites and mites later in October. But we are doing sports and up all together. It felt like last year we just repeated the same things over and over and over, and it seemed like it was pretty redundant. So maybe if we just do everyone together, it'll be a little bit easier. I'll talk about more of operations, scheduling, league makeup, administrative things, policies, disciplinary, and Mario will talk about tryouts, expectations, team makeup, things like that. So we'll get that done on Sunday. Coaches meetings, managers meetings will be coming up. I did get all the office furniture ordered, and it's all sitting at my house, which my husband does not appreciate because they are large boxes and it's taking up half of my living room. So hopefully I'll get that over to the rink this
Do you need help
weekend.
moving stuff?
At some point I'm gonna need to get it all over there and put together. Maybe anybody wants to put furniture together. I'm really good at reading the instructions. It's like the actual, you know, using the screwdriver.
The Allen wrench that comes with it.
Yeah, my husband and I are really a good team when we do those projects, but I'm not sure if he's really up for helping on this one. So, but yeah, I was able to get a whole bunch of stuff from Amazon. I think it'll work well. It'll be set up well for us to utilize for little meetings, for our employee meetings, disciplinary Yeah, it should be good. And thanks to Active Life for the file cabinets. I just gotta figure out how to open up the one, but thank you. 10,000 Puck Challenge was awesome. I don't know if you guys followed along with the Facebook stuff, but Jamie killed it.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
All the edits and stuff. That was really cool to see.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna put another plug in for Jamie, and she's great, but she revamped the 10,000 Puck Challenge pretty much on her own. We had asked for it to be revamped last spring. She kind of took it upon herself to figure out like the app tracker thing, and put together, you know, the Tuesday tips and recognize people as they completed, and it was outstanding. I thought she did a really good job, and I think it really engaged the kids, and like, you know, people were writing like, well, my kid hasn't been up there yet. And so I think it made people really push to reach that next level, because we only put the 10,000 people that reached 10,000 out there, and not just, you know, hitting the 6 and thinking like, oh, now I'm done. It was like, no, you gotta hit 10. And so we had a lot of the younger kids hit 10 just because we wanted, you know, they wanted to have their video up. So I thought it was awesome. I thought that it was really fun, and yeah, I want to do like a little ceremony coming up where we actually like, you know, call them up and they get their trophy and their t-shirt to make it a really big deal. We used to have a banner up in the rink that listed everybody. It kind of went away over time. You know, I think when my mind is blank. We used to run it in Pearl. Yeah. Anyways, when he ran it, he used to do the whole banner and stuff. And so I think that if we can recognize those kids again, it just pushes them next year. It's like, well, my name's not up there next year. I'm going to do that, get my name up there. So I thought it was awesome. And one more plug for Jamie. Because of all the things that she does on our social media and how amazing she makes our Facebook and our website and everything look, Watford City is wanting to just snatch her away from us. And I told them that they couldn't take her. But they were like, we are so impressed with your social media page.
Nice job, Jamie. Nice job.
She's awesome. She's really good. Okay, well, enough about Jamie. I guess she doesn't like talking.
That's attention.
No, please don't. Please don't do that. But yeah, she's been doing this. Pictures, I will get that set up. I did get dates from him when he's not available, but I think we'll be able to get them done right away at the beginning of the year. But we will try to do those on ice again this year. It's just going to be probably one straight day of just pictures, shuffling teams through on the ice. You know, not trying to do practices around now. We don't want to take away from practice time, so we'll just, you know, take whatever that is, 4 or 5 hours, and just get all the teams in. Impact testing, we're getting set up. And we got the contracts over to Dean today for Michaela and Jeff, so those are updated as well. Phew! That was my like 9 pages.
There you go. Good one.
Any questions on anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been getting, just to go off that conversation we had yesterday regarding divs and these,
yes.
these committees, can you just maybe just restate that conversation we had, because there's people in the audience that have asked me that question.
Yep. So in years past, we had divs for the golf tournament, we had divs for intro handout, we had divs for tournament setup, we had a lot of div sessions available. I mean, we would start the season and we had several families that were already done with their divs. And so when it came time to really need volunteers, when it was tournament time, we didn't have anybody. And especially at the end of the season, we have like nobody available to sign up and help. And so we kind of eliminated a lot of those extra div sessions like that because we have now the events committee and the fundraising committee, but the events committee really picked up all of those little things that we were offering divs for all those people. You know, and I think, you know,
What's
no
the agreement
discredit.
with these people? The committees.
The committees, so the committee people, they are on board all year long. And so just because, you know, I had 5 people show up at the golf tournament last week doesn't mean their commitment is done for the year. Like, they're on all year long. We had a lot of the same people show up for intro handout over the couple of days that we've done it. And so, you know, they are just stepping up. I sent an email yesterday. I'm like, hey, we need people to help Mike out, hand out socks, whatever. And 3 people immediately responded. And they were like, yep, we'll be there. And so, yeah, I hope to continue the whole year that people are so willing to help on that events committee. There is incentive for them. They get their divs, and then they also get one registration free. Anybody can sign up for any of those committees. I'm still accepting any applicants for those things. So if you're interested, let me know. Because yeah, I mean, any help that we can get. you know, Jamie and I talked today about Mike and Mario are super important. They're our hockey people, and that's the product that we sell. We've talked about that before, but I would say probably 60 to 70% of everything that happens is all like operations and administrative, and it's Jamie and I, right? And so it's like we need all the help we can get. I mean, there's so much. Obviously, I just went through all of the things, right? And that's not on ice. That's just all the other crap that goes into the season and getting it ready and making sure it runs smooth. And so yeah, anybody that wants to help out, I am more than happy to accept them into our committee. But yeah, they get incentive for doing it, but there's a commitment to it all year long. It's not just one event and you're done. So yeah, but yeah, to your point, we just had so many little volunteer hours that people were getting, and then at the end of the year, we're giving away a ton of incentives, right? And that's cutting into.
So kind of save opportunity costs at the end, and then people will still need to make that obligation at the end of the year.
Yep.
Balance that out.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm relying more on the committees for some of those smaller things. Yeah.
Cool.
Other questions?
No, I have one more thing to say to you later, but that's about it.
Okay.
My questions are done.
Great. I'm done.
For now.
For now.
Next update, hockey director. I just had trials on there, but if there's any other.
Yeah, the trial process for pretty much what I want to do. I think last year we had there was an app, we put a rating in, and I helped with trials, I think 2 of the last 3 years. Especially if you're asking people who don't know the kids very well to come in and evaluate. You're trying to put a rating on a kid and you're watching him do maybe skate down the ice one time, and it was so hard to track. So what I've suggested to Mike and the people coming in is we're going to watch trials. We're going to try to evaluate, make notes as we go along, but we just want to see them scrimmage. So I think we're going to get away from doing some skating up and down the ice, and they're doing drills and lines with 30 plus kids on the ice. And not getting to see the kids play enough. So what we want to do is drop the puck and let them play. So we can get a better evaluation of that. I understand the point of having a rating system, but with how much we get to actually see them and avoid the kids, you're just putting a number there to put a number down. So I think we want to have something where we're actually getting to watch the hockey a little bit more, and that's more the focal point. We're watching them in a game and trying to place them on teams appropriately. So on the first 2 days, it would just be split up alphabetically, and then we would sort of start to sort where we think the kids might fall as the trial process moves along. Did I cover it enough? So we're trying to get some non-parent, we have a bunch of non-parent evaluators that are going to come in and help. So a handful of people that I think know the kids decently well in the area. So it's nice to have familiarity with, I guess, the evaluators coming in. So those would be a couple normal things for trials.
Probably just to mention, in case anybody didn't get the memo, that we switched the Squirt 10U, 12U tryouts. So the first week in October, Bantam Pee-wee 15U are now the second week in October.
Right. I'll be out of town for the Squirt 12U week. Had a trip that was pre-planned with my dad. So I'm going. But Mike will be there, and we've talked to some other people about helping evaluate those tryouts for that week. But then I'll be back for the Pee-wee Bantam 15U trial week.
And any 12U girls, I mean, they should just be prepared that they could be asked to participate the second week.
Yeah, we basically determined it would be 2 or 3 girls to be asked to try out for the 15U team. If they were to make the 15U A team, that's where we would like them to stay. Any 12U girls that do not make 12U A and they're in 7th grade, we would ask them to move up to the 15U B team so that we get our numbers even. My perfect number for number of skaters on a team is about 14, 9 forwards, 5 defensemen. Obviously that can change depending on the year, but younger age groups I would like to be 12 or 13. You get into mites, we want it to be the lower, so we just want to make sure the kids are getting enough ice time. Year to year, obviously it gets difficult. depending on what numbers you have at each level, so obviously sometimes out of your control, but that would be kind of the goal.
How are goalies being?
Nate Spidell will be coming in to help. So we talked about just him kind of giving recommendations. He's not going to pick the goalies, but he would just give his expertise on the position, and obviously the other evaluators would be watching as well.
One thing I forgot to mention about Bull Robert too is that he's getting his contract. We will probably see a slight increase from the contract from last year, because he would like to compensate some of his evaluators. So, I haven't seen it yet, but we did talk about that last week.
Sounds good. All right, Ian, any treasurer updates?
Yeah, well, Michaela sent the July financials in that email, so everyone saw those. Joe, I've been so happy to tell you this.
Making money.
The account's open.
Dang, 8 months, I think.
Yeah, it's done deal. Did move $1 million over today, 500 into the existing money market account, just because gaming funds and trust funds can't be commingled.
Sure.
Gaming funds can be commingled with operating funds. Saying that right? You're on the gaming guy.
Sorry, I spaced out there. What were you saying?
It's all fine.
Okay.
So anyway,
Yeah.
we're making money on our money. No, and it should. So I think we got like a 4.5% interest rate on that money market account. The new one, so the new one can't be supplemented as much as the existing one we have, which is at like 4.15, just because gaming and trust have to be kept separate. But talking with Dean, he just got back from today after a few weeks. There'll be a few $100,000 more to come here because Lucky's was still on our last quarter gaming site, which doesn't have to be reported till the following quarter. So we will still have a few $100,000 that will be transferred in a couple months here that we can throw in the money market. But after that, Lucky's will be off our stuff. So it'll be kind of slim pickings for a while until we do hopefully obtain a new gaming site for that. But anyway, that's done, so that's a good deal. Yeah, they have the financials in there. We had the contingency planning meeting a few weeks ago, so that was good. I mean, looking at ways, like Michaela mentioned, $100,000. Like just looking at stuff. I mean, Mario already, being here for 2-3 weeks, looking at stuff and cutting costs. And so, I mean, I think that's all we want as we continue to look at those things. So, all good things. We're still in a good spot.
Yeah.
Moral of the story.
Lane's not here on the hockey committee, which I don't think you guys met.
I've not really done that.
And Joel, any gaming updates?
This is my favorite.
I just so much to talk about. We're meeting with. I'm trying to grow relationships. The relationships have kind of been faltering, and what we've seen is around town. The general consensus I've seen is that we weren't following our mission, and I'm trying to just present that now we are following our mission, and we're trying to get this money to go to the kids. And so hopefully this isn't throwing him under the bus, but it was his idea, and I thought it was fantastic. We're giving some money to the high school teams, and we're splitting it up evenly so that we can continue to support our kids as they step into high school. We are bringing, we're looking at building rinks, which is the big thing that we're looking at. We're trying to build the infrastructure of hockey around our community, and then once we have the infrastructure, the long-term vision is to build that and grow the rinks and the business and the club numbers to be able to then give back as far as paying coaches more, decreasing registration and doing those things. But at this point in time, if we use this money to say we're going to lower all your registrations, if we lose gaming, that's a net loss and it doesn't mean anything because now we put all your registrations back up to where they were and probably higher. But if we could use this money to support the kids, the club, and growing hockey and building rinks, that will build the infrastructure, which eventually will lead to lowering our costs in registration, paying our coaches, and doing all the right things. And I'm just trying to build that relationship back up. And that's what people want to see, is that we're supporting our kids and our mission. That's what the state wants to see. That's what our sites want to see. That's what anybody you talk to in the community wants to see. And we're trying to turn that back around and put the money back into our club, which we're so that's the big thing on gaming right now.
And it can't happen overnight.
That's
No, I mean, it's gonna take time, but that is the goal, and that's what we're working towards, that's what we're meeting about. That's the goal.
Does anybody have any hockey questions for me? I was told to be ready to answer some questions.
Yeah, you're next, so.
You're next, you wanna move to the screen?
I wanna see or hear, like, now that you've seen a little bit of what's going on, I just want a little piece of your vision of what you want to make.
Is he in the video?
Joel, yeah, Joel's
Do you wanna
gonna
swap out?
yeah, switch spots with him maybe.
I think we could meet each other for Halloween. I don't think we'd have to change too much. Maybe I'll grow some muscles and you can talk more.
My focus right now, I'm just trying to get a handle on how everything operates right now. But my focus is what's going on the ice. Obviously, we have, I think last year we had one non-parent coach in the whole club, so we're looking to try and, especially at our older age group, we're trying to increase our non-parent coaches with people that have had hockey experience, hopefully people that have gone through the club and have some hockey experience that will do a good job coaching the age that they would be with. So obviously with we have a lot of non-parent coaches that might not even have hockey experience, so my goal is to try and increase and educate, increase their knowledge on how to run maybe an effective practice, how, strategy, hey, we have two teams on the ice, how can we make our practice time more productive, just so we can get a little bit more out of our ice time. Obviously, big complaint in town since I've lived here is that we don't get enough ice time during the winter, so how can we maximize what we are doing out there so that we're getting ice touches, but getting quality ice touches. That would be my main focus, is trying to help our parent coaches and our non-parent coaches make sure we have a good season. One of the tools I'll have an app that I use where I've kind of submitted all of my drills and practice plans, and you can have basically 3D imaging of all of our practices, so a coach will be able to pull up his phone. I'll send him out a practice package, and it'll basically like a playlist. We'll be able to see all the drills that we're going to do, so if it's a termite or a mite, we can see the different stations that we're going to do, and hopefully simplify the process for people that are coaching. I think a deterrent for some people to coach was the planning process, so my job is to come in and try and take that stress away so that it's really easy to show up. I can take 5 or 10 minutes, watch what's on the screen, utilize that for the start of the year. Hopefully we get to a point where we don't use that anymore, because our kids will know the drills, our coaches will be familiar with everything. But that would be kind of my plan on the hockey side of things. And then obviously just communicating throughout the season, where are we at, how do we get better, where are we struggling, what are some things we can work at, and kind of tailor that to each team. Would be my job to communicate kind of with each team and just monitor how things are going.
Well, in those practice plans, there'll be something that we see with coaches is when they don't know what to do, the kids just do the drill over and over again, they lose engagement, and a coach doesn't know how to progress the drill or regress the drill. Are there ways that will be taught to coaches?
Yep, so that would be kind of where your level coordinators might come in, or myself, just saying, hey, obviously that maybe a drill didn't go very well, how can we simplify? I think I coach a lot of little kids, and I coach the little kids the same way I do like high school or a higher level. It's obviously simplified, but kids can do a lot of the drills you would do at a pro level, but it might not include 4 passes, maybe it includes 1. So it's all about simplifying what we're doing so that we, I don't want to say dumb it down because they're smart kids, but make it simpler for them. And then they can do a drill that includes 1 pass. Now we get, a month had another step in, but yeah, the whole plan is that we progress from level to level, progress throughout the season. If things aren't going well, we would have, just sit down and figure out how we can have a productive practice plan, throughout the whole year.
How often will you be on ice?
I guess I don't know. I don't know how often I will be. I mean, I'll be out there. I just don't know how much. I think I would like to dedicate time to all the levels, all the teams. But my plan would be to be around. And I don't think me coming in and running every single practice is like the good long-term solution. I think our better solution is to increase the knowledge of everybody across the board. Help maybe young coaches coming in, who hopefully want to come in and help for several years, and kind of just increase the knowledge across the board. Because if it only comes from me, then long term, I'm gone one day, then we're kind of back. I think back a step. So we want everybody to improve on the coaching side.
Well, and the coordinator will be there for that you on that.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would try to.
That was a big thing. I think that was a big thing with Kate. Everybody wanted to see Kate on the ice. He needed to be there all the time. And that's not the point. It's the point that you have the knowledge. You're there to teach the coordinators, to teach the coaches. So in turn, you are there. You are teaching. Just because you're not on the ice with your kids doesn't mean that you weren't included in what they're learning.
Right. So the whole point of the 3D practice plans is that a coach can look and I could draw to him on the board. You might have no idea what I'm talking about, but you can basically watch a cartoon and kind of understand how this should flow. Someone who doesn't know hockey should be able to come in and hopefully understand what we're supposed to be doing and how we can explain it. One of the things I have a projector I put on in the locker room, turn the lights off, and we put it on the wall, and that's how I would explain a lot of drills to the kids. I think it has been an effective tool using it that way, but I think we'll kind of just read throughout the year what's the most effective way to get this information to the kids, because that's the most important part. But that would be kind of a judgment call, and just see how do we need to implement this more or less throughout the year as things move along.
What's your plan for like the girls? Those are in the sports next year.
Yep, I think we were going to give them the option to, if they wanted to. I think last year there was a bunch of girls that would prefer to have played on a girls team, and I think they were asked to move to play with boys. So we want to give them the option. If you just want to play with girls and that keeps you playing hockey, we want them to have that option. And if they choose to move up and want to play with squirts, then we would let them do that. I think this year we have one girl signed up for squirts, and she would prefer to stay and play with the boys. But we give the option to the girls.
So are you going to do anything for those girls like AU? Because last year my daughter made it to the one team, and she got her ass kicked. There's no girls on her team, and she lost interest in hockey. So now if there's enough girls to play AU half ice, even if they play the boys, are you going to go like those girls that are going up because you're losing numbers? That's where you're losing kids. This AU to training transition.
So I guess I'm not sure what your question is.
Can you repeat the question? I'm getting texts from people to repeat the question that you get.
For her.
Yeah, for when you're here, sure.
I'm not sure.
So I think the question is, so will the AU girls have the option to just play girls? And then if they do just play girls, are they going to be tiered, like a tier 1, tier 2, and then incorporate them into boys? Like on games, like playing against them.
Yeah, for sports or
Minds.
My whole philosophy is put kids of equal ability against each other. That gives them the best chance to improve, and then it gives our kids that maybe are a step below, they're competing against kids at their same level, and I try to put everyone in a position that they can improve in, because I've seen it over 10 years. Kids that start off on the lower end and they've worked really hard and got better. We just want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to improve. So I guess to answer your question, we would be trying to place them in games that are competitive across the board.
So no specific straight girls team fights.
Yes.
No, there would be.
Yes.
There would be.
Yeah.
There would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they choose, and so once we get our mites rolling here, we'll send an email off. I know we've talked about this. So the girls will have the option. We'll send an email off. If your girl wants to play with girls, let us know. We're going to form the girls' teams. I think when I pulled the numbers the last time, what did I say? 20 girls in mites, but I mean, we're going to get a huge influx of termites and mites in the next couple of weeks here. So we'll probably end up with 3-4 girls teams if they all want to play with just girls. But yeah, we will offer that.
So basically what's been at Squirts will just shift down.
Yep.
Mites, where you pick girls or girls and boys.
And they will still play against the boys'
Yes.
teams,
Yes.
right? But yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I've said this to other people before, last year when we did the in-house for the sports and we had the 10U girls teams kind of stick together, right? And then they played the boys teams to start the season. And I thought, oh boy, I don't know if that's a good idea. And the first couple games were rough, but by the end of it, those girls were beating some of those boy teams. And so I thought it was awesome to see those girls just, persevere. So I think that is just, truth to say those girls should stick together
And that's what I feel,
together.
it's like, well, if you're a second year might and you move up, you've got no experience playing with
Right.
any girls.
Yep.
You're gonna,
Yeah.
Is the sport in-house going the same as it did last year?
I think the plan was that we would do that, we would try to finish it earlier, and then I think the complaint last year, from what I was told, was that they didn't feel like they had enough practice time leading up to their games. So I think we would, was it 2 weeks earlier they were gonna finish?
Yeah, so I think the first weekend in December, like December 1st through 3rd or something, is going to be the tournament this year. So they have all in December really to practice. Actually, your 10U girls are in a tournament in December. So, yeah. Then we won't have rec league though. Last year we offered sport rec league, and I know that was a change this year that we removed that and put everybody back into travel. And then those sport teams, of course, will all be tiered. So those. Some of those sport B teams will be more limited travel. I know we had actually quite a few people reach out and ask where our rec league went. They wanted to do rec league again, but yeah, it was decided prior to going into registration that would be removed this year and just kind of tier the B teams. So.
What's your plan for breakdown sports teams? I've heard multiple different 218, 118 people.
That hasn't been we haven't like talked about what that would be quite yet. My immediate thought is that maybe you keep it the same that we do with the Bantam and PD levels, but we haven't really discussed that too much. From my understanding last year was that our 2A teams got spanked when we would go to play other teams once we split up. So when I look at a record and let's say you're 3-7 and you lost 4-2 in all your games, you're playing at the correct level. If you're 0-10, you're getting 12-0, we're at the wrong level. So we want to make sure that we're at a competitive level. I don't really care what the record is. I want to see the scores of the games. I'm playing at a correct level. 30-0 means absolutely nothing to me because you're probably not getting challenged enough. And I can see it when the kids go and play real competition. They haven't been challenged, and that's what we want to do is put them in a position that they've had to. You'll get better by having to compete against harder competition, and that's what we want to get to. Everyone talks about competing with the Grand Forks or Fargo within the state. Well, let's put them in a position to compete like that at a younger age.
I mean, and on the same thoughts too, our sport B teams last year went and spanked everybody else. And so I know that we looked at those, kind of sport B teams probably going more out east and, playing some harder competition with Fargo, West Fargo, Grand Forks, and then maybe some of our other B teams going out west and staying more with their competition too. So.
We tried to, as far as maybe other competition that we play, Canada's obviously not too far to the north, so we're exploring maybe trying to line up games and people from Canada, work in progress. So hopefully, whether it's this year or the following year or into the future, we'll try to create some relationships there so we can have competition from some Canadian teams. And it would be a different kind of trip for the kids. Most of them have probably never been to Canada, so I'm half Canadian, so I'm happy to go there.
We have a couple of Facebook questions here. And I think just probably clarifying again on the girls, what's happening. A question came in that says, does the 15U not have enough players for an A team? And then clarifying that they will pull girls up from 12UA to the 15U level. So just, if you want to just kind of clarify that a little bit more.
Yeah, so for the 12U tryouts, we would determine the top 2 or 3 players that would have the option to try out for the 15U team. If they would make the 15U A team, that they would stay there. Any 12U players that would not make the 12U A team, we would ask those 7th graders to move up to play for the 15U B team to help alleviate our numbers. We're short on the 15U side. We have probably a handful too many in 12U. So we're talking about moving up, we'll just say it's 4 to 6 girls maximum, so that we have maybe around 12 or 13 for 15U groups, and slightly less, maybe it's 14 to 15 for our 12U groups. Did I answer everything?
Yeah, so the numbers are 22 girls at 15U and 35 at 12.
Yeah. So we'd like to try to even that up. We can get that number down to 30 skaters for 12U and up, if my math be 26, 27 for 15U. That would be a good number for each team to compete with.
Another question on Facebook is, what is the optimal ratio of practice to games that you would like to get to VHB2, and what is the variation by age?
I would say the younger they are, the more ice touches in practice we would like to get. I don't even know what the current ratio is. But I would say for every game that we have, we're trying to get maybe 3 to 4 practices for every game that we're going to play. So I think the banners are scheduled at, is it 3 practices per week? So 3 practices per week. PB level is the same.
So we strive for.
Yeah, so I mean, that would be, to me, that's a perfect number. If your practice time is productive at a 7th grade level, I don't see the need to be practicing much more than that. If you have a good, solid practice time, I don't see the need to really add in that much more if you have good practice time.
Another question is, do we have declarations for Squirt, Pee Wee, Bantam travel teams? If so, what will they be?
So I think for Bantams, we would have AA, A, B1, and 2B teams. Pee-wees would be Pee Wee AA, Pee Wee A, and then the discussion is if we would have a Pee Wee B1 or 2 of them, or have 4 Pee Wee B teams. So I think we're going to try to evaluate what at the B1 level, if we have 2 teams, are we competitive with the other teams that we've been playing? That would be, I'm not exactly sure when that decision will be made, but we'll try to evaluate and figure out that declaration. What other levels?
Squirt. And we did declare to the state 2 B1 and 4 Bs for Pee-wees. That's what we're scheduling for, but we've said multiple times things can change. Tryouts can show otherwise, and we may lose kids, add kids, we don't know. So, and then sports, yeah. And I think we talked about sports a little bit ago. I mean, right now we're scheduling for 1A, 2 B1s, and then 6 Bs for sports.
Yeah.
But that could change.
Could change. So we're up for sports as a topic. Me and Mike haven't talked.
Yeah, and sports go up and down because we don't have to declare to the state. So that's, I mean, essentially you're looking at your A, your 2 B1s, your 2 Bs that we had last year, except for the A and B1, and then your 4 rec teams, but now they're brought into the B level. So when we say 6 B teams, right, it's including those 4 rec teams we had last year.
Is that something we do every year with the score level? Is leagues and declare itself after tryouts, or is that have to be done before tryouts?
For Pee-wees, Bantams, sports, you don't declare for sport because they're not leagues.
So you can just wait till you have tryouts and see what's happening.
Yeah, but we have to start scheduling to get tournaments in June. So that's the bad thing, is that's what I'm scheduling for right now, is the A, 2B, and 6Bs, or 2B1 and 6Bs, but if we change that, it might be hard to get sport day tournaments, right? Yeah. So we try to know ahead of time. But I mean, it can definitely change, and we'll figure it out. We always do. Why not? It's fun. Okay, some more questions from Facebook. Will there be more in-depth positional practice at the squirt and up level? Well, we have the Sunday over too, so we're trying to log in. Focusing more on specific positions and scrimmage instead of the same drill stations repeated. Also, how many teams are planned to be on the ice at one time in practices?
For the on ice, I guess that's where I would come in with the practice plans, that we would try to have a plan in place. So to answer your question, yes, we want to be more positional. When you have two teams on the ice, you have to restructure things. I think we can still work on the same skill, you know. So if it's, say we want to work on, you know, puck retrievals for defensemen, we have lots of drills we can do for that. It might just be changed if we have two teams on the ice. We want to make sure that we're getting enough reps. My ratio for reps is we try, you know, 1 on, 2 off, or 1 on, 1 off. One kid's moving, so just try to design practice in a way that kids are getting it going up times. Going once and resting 5 is, you know, a lot of off time. So we try to increase the productivity of practice. That would be kind of where I come in with the planning process. What was the second part of the question?
How many teams on the ice at one time?
That would be a you question.
So Mike and Mario and I have been discussing this the last couple of weeks, really, since Martin started. And you know, like he talked about, like how do we use the ice best? You know, how do we make sure that we get quality ice touches, more ice touches? I know Joel brought up in the past, like getting a little bit of family time back is also good. So not running 7 days a week, like that's going to be important this year. That we're looking at. You know, if we want to get a second dry land session in for a team, are we doing it maybe at 5 o'clock and then they're going to go to practice at 7:30 or something like that? So we're trying to kind of really look at all of that. How do we, maybe not have 3 squirt teams out there at the same time, but 2 squirt teams. Obviously, the second half of the season, fingers crossed, we're going to have another rink, and that's going to be huge. Like we pretty much got all of the ice for BHP, so that's awesome. I mean, I think that's going to open up that ice time for us to be able to spread the teams out a little bit more. But I mean, I can't say right now, like, oh, it's always going to be 2 or it's always going to be 3. I mean, it's going to depend day to day. But really looking at how do we use that ice.
Yeah, I think one thing, something that I like to do, if you got back-to-back practices, is we have like one team go out for a certain period of time, and then a second team comes out. You have 2 teams on the ice. You just kind of, I guess that comes in the planning process of utilizing the ice differently, because one team might just be doing in-zone work, or we could easily have 2 teams doing that at the same time. It gets a little chaotic out there, but I think we're utilizing the ice better, and then that team 2 would get their own ice time as a team. So I think that's something that was brought up a little bit as far as utilizing the ice better. We can still try to mix in solo practice times. I know that's kind of been a topic that I've heard. So, but I guess all going back to trying to make our ice time as productive as possible.
And I think starting the season with the squirt in-house, you're going to have smaller teams, and so it will be likely that you're going to have 3 teams at that point, because you're talking more about 10 kids on a team rather than, you know, that maybe 13, 14.
As far as squirt and keeping the those go at practices, are they going to have like the first 15 or half hour of power skating? Because I've noticed that when we go to Dickinson and all those, because Dickinson actually has a power skating coach that works with the boys for the first half hour.
Yes, that would be probably part of what we would do. So like, if you have 2 teams out there, and it's a great time, we could work on something like that. But my job would be to try to provide the coaches with, here's 8 things that we can do. We can rip through it in 15 minutes, but just try to give them some ammo to be able to go run that. Some of our, I think maybe some of the parent coaches might not have a lot of hockey experience, but at least getting them to a point where they can hopefully explain it, maybe demonstrate. But I guess that's where I would try to come in and be able to help in those areas.
And we do have.
But we're doing power skating, right?
Yeah, Hunter.
Hunter from the Bobcats is gonna do power skating with the old
How-
ones.
With Peas and banners.
I was gonna say, how is that gonna be integrated?
He's gonna, still working on the details, but I think he's
I
gonna
know.
have certain practice days where he's on the ice back to back to back.
It's okay to not know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's doing it. I talked to him on Sunday, and he's doing it.
Yeah.
He's all on board. So.
Or even some coaching sessions with the younger coaches to help with those little details.
That's still being discussed. Because I think he actually would prefer to start like the real, so,
Hunter would?
yeah. So we might see some with younger kids, but still to be determined.
Has there been any thoughts of having 3 tiers of ice?
That's what we want, that's what I wanna do, instead of 3 tiers. I think with 2 tiers, I think our kids in the middle that could really develop, you know, they're maybe towards the bottom and maybe tier 1, and I think if we separate that a little bit more, I think we really increase our kids that are in the middle, where I think sometimes we get a little lost, and then our kids, but anyway, I guess that goes back to putting kids against the correct competition, so I think going 3 tiers is something Mike and I had discussed, and I think that's what we would like to do.
Yeah, from coming out of Mike, when you coach our kids on both sides, our kids didn't grow in BHB with 2 tiers of Mike. Because, I mean, they're playing at a lower level and they're just skating back and forth at that point.
Yeah, so that's I think our thought is that we would have 3 tiers up in my thought.
And then I know last year they started was kind of a cluster. They're going cross ice, three games, and then we switched to half ice. The previous year we were doing half ice. Maybe somewhere there.
Honestly, I haven't really evaluated what's been done on the ice in the past, so I don't have an answer for you on that.
So you did 3 tiers of Mike, so that one of those tiers included an all-girls team then?
I think we would try to put them against whatever level would be appropriate for them.
I mean, I think there's a lot of information that will probably be relayed again at parent meeting, and then, you know, obviously there's a lot of questions about bites, so that'll come as well. Lots of things to still figure out.
Yeah, so maybe for clarity on the sports, you have tryouts and then you do the in-house season. Are they gonna know what team they're on during the in-house season and then be split up, kind of just to even the teams out? Or is there gonna be like a tier within the in-house too?
Like we
You
did.
know what I'm trying to
yeah,
say, like-
we did before, we did like the tier 1 and the tier 2,
Yeah.
so that'll be the same.
Okay.
Yep. But then, I mean, that'll be continuously evaluated. I mean, same with mites and termites, like they're all gonna continue to be evaluated until December. And then that last weekend, you know, that they have that tournament for in-house, teams will be out by then for trial, because we're gonna start right now.
Okay, so they won't know what team they're on once the in-house league starts.
No, 'cause,
Okay.
yeah, Mike and Mario are gonna continue to watch and
Got it.
can adjust, yeah.
And as far as sports go, when they do pick the travel teams, are coaches only doing that, or is it outsiders?
I think we might utilize the people that are helping coach the teams. I guess that would be up for discussion, but my preference would be that we would have outsiders trying to pick that. At the sport level, especially during the year, it might be hard to find an outside evaluator to come in and help pick that. But we would explore those options. But like if we split up into a team of 10 kids, hopefully we can rely on a coach to give a rating, and then I guess be mine and Mike's job to evaluate if we think that's accurate or not.
There was a question come in on Facebook, but I think it's the same thing that was just asked, how will sport travel teams be selected, so I think we cleared that up. I think it's lagging on here a little bit, so. Other questions?
Any advice for coach parents that have 2 different kids or 3 different kids, where to go?
What do you mean?
You know both my kids. You
No.
know. Like, is there a way to determine? Are you going to determine where coaches are more needed?
Oh,
That's what I mean.
yeah, absolutely. So I think figure out, maybe we have one level that has a lot of people that can help coach and we're struggling. Like I think on the girls' side, from what I was told, we struggle to find people that can help at that level. So we were just trying to determine where we can most help for selecting which coaches can go, should go where.
What would be the main reason not to have QBB1 teams? I don't think we said that. It's just a matter of how many, right? Yeah.
To have one or two. I think just try to make sure that those teams can play at a competitive level, and if they can, then I think we would try to have 2 B1 teams. We just try to evaluate what's our talent pool look like, and then try to evaluate if we can be competitive with the other teams that we can be playing.
We just get excited to play some hockey at this point. Let's see how it plays out. I think the questions will be better asked after we get some experience and we see how this is going to play out. Now we're just making stuff up. So can we just be excited to play hockey for a little bit? Cool.
One more question.
Yeah.
Why doesn't the sport level go right to travel? Last year it seemed like our teams would be 9 teams in competition who have been playing together all year.
Just from coming in, and that's how it's set up. From my experience, I don't want to come in and completely change everything when I don't quite know how everything kind of currently operates. So I just want to be able to evaluate that and if there's immediate things that we could change and alter to make it better, I think we would do that. But I don't want to come in and overhaul everything when I'm trying to understand how it all currently operates. So that would be my reason for not doing that. I don't disagree that we felt like we were behind other teams, but I'm not going to make a huge change when I don't quite understand how it all works.
I thought the squirt issue was the tournaments didn't start until after January, and so we were dealing with if we kept it all, if we were to do travel teams, then we wouldn't have anybody to play against because Mandan does it the way we're currently doing it, and other Dickinson, Minot, they were all doing it a certain way, and then everybody split up in January. That's why we're what we're doing. And I don't know if that has continued in the last 5-6 years since I've been gone, but that was the reasoning. So we can do whatever we want to do, but that was the reason initially.
I would say it's 50-50 across the state. Some start right away and travel. I would say the east side is traveling right away.
And we worked with the west, so that's why we were trying to build like a competitive
Lewis
close
and
league.
Minot are the only two that have square teams. So for like square A level, it's kind of not an issue because we're not talking about 2 teams. Where most of your competition is on the east or Minnesota.
Would people at the score level be willing to travel if we had travel teams?
Nicer weather.
Too nicer weather?
It's nicer weather earlier in the year versus January.
Not last year.
Last year was more nice weather.
That was awesome.
That was the exception to the rule.
Well, that was the other thing is we keep going from depending on which parents step up and which board is there. We don't travel with squirts. The next 2 years, we want to travel everywhere with squirts. Next 2 years, we don't travel with squirts. And so I'm on the side where I would rather keep the kids in-house here playing and competing than to travel everywhere else. But however you want to run it is how you want to run it. But that's why it's one way this way, the next time that way. It'd be nice to have, once Mario sorts it all out, to have that consistency, and then you'll understand the why behind the what.
I do think there was some value in the non-travel because there was a lot of people that don't want to travel. That limited travel option is fantastic. But I think that there's also a lot of people that are all for it and they're ready to go. And most of those kids that don't want to travel, they don't want to travel. They're like, you know, that's not the thing. I think it's the option. I would probably say just get us in the competition, let's start rolling, and doing these done or what we think the best thing for our development of our kids is at the end of the day. But there is a group that I think found great value in the in-house or the non-travel league last year, and limited travel this year. And those kids mostly probably need to not travel to begin with, to know their skills and to get where they're going to be and what it's to be. There's a large portion of the kids I think them and their parents are ready to go right away. So you kind of have two groups. It's not an all or none, it's more an all or some. There's just kind of two groups of people.
How often does the in-house sport league play? Once a week?
1 day, 2 times a week.
During
Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is when we did travel, the sports did travel last year, at least from my experience, we did 4 weeks out of 5. So when we did travel, it was the same amount, it was just totally condensed. Versus kind of maybe a tournament to a month, it was a little more spread out. Just throwing that out there.
Maybe the kids that do sign up that want to travel, families that do want to travel, make 3 B teams and not 2 B teams, so that, yeah, for travel and let the people do in-house if they want to do it.
I mean, I'm on the side, I love hockey and I want everybody to do more hockey. So I know that not everybody's like that. So I just try to evaluate from a developmental standpoint too, what's going to make our kids in this town better. And I guess that would be things I would try to look at. Do I think it would be beneficial to start playing games sooner? Yes, I do. If it's in the right setting.
Yeah, and I think 3 years now we've done in-house. Prior to that, we traveled right away. When my 21-year-old was younger, we did half and half. So, I mean, it just, goes like this, just with the history on it, and it depends on, where, like Joel said, the board sits on it, the hockey director sits on it, the parents sit on it, and I think you're probably going to see some people that are like, I want to travel nonstop. I also think you have a group of people that are used to traveling. I mean, specifically Carlisle, like your son has traveled for how many years now already, right? And then he gets to sport and it's like, you gotta do in-house. I mean, he actually had traveled for a couple of years prior to that.
I think
so it's hard to go
was
back.
great for him, but at the same time, like whatever the best thing for the kids is my opinion. Whether that be not travel or travel, I don't care. Just whatever the best thing for the kid is should be the decision maker, not the most important.
I coached sports last year, and that was the biggest complaint I had from parents was the in-house portion, having to do the in-house.
Is there a way to
Whatever you say, man.
incorporate the in-house, what's still part of
Yes.
the season?
What's part of it?
Yeah. That would be.
Okay, so you see some of these kids, right?
Yeah.
Like you see them coming. So what do you think is the best option for them? Because we've seen the AAA kids come through your doors already.
I like the in-house. I think it gives kids a lot of touches because we have like 10 kids per team on here. You get a ton of ice time. That's really valuable in a game setting. Where if we could incorporate, this is where I think you're trying to, because now you're really mixing like a pretty wide range of ability probably, where if we can challenge each level to maybe more games, I think that'll be something to try to see if we can do. So I just think you have to push the top, you got to push the middle, you got to push the bottom, and on each level to improve. If you go look at all the high schools, we got to try to, we have 3 high schools at the boys level, 2 at the girls, try to up the level, but give everybody a chance to improve regardless of where they're at right now. Because I've seen kids jump up and I've seen kids go down. So try to put them in the best position to improve.